Whoa. Tired of living broke, so before I sleep, I pray.
Welcome to another episode of Crowd Legs and Kool-Aid. It's your boy, Titus Early Making. This is the podcast where we like to get to know, and we say we as in me, but we, being y'all watching too, like to get to know the human behind the artist. And let me just elaborate on that real quick because I say that, but let me tell you a little bit more of what I mean when I say that. Because in this industry, you'll think you know somebody based on what you hear, right? And it's like, okay, well, you don't know them personally. So these are just the spaces where hopefully you get to know them a little bit more personally, including myself. So you can take a little judgments out your little face and your brain and get to know this person, whether that's a new you or a future you. I don't really know what that means. I'm trying to be mythical, but it ain't making sense. Anyway, who we got here, yo, is one of the besties, yo. His name rhymes with pay. This nigga is always on cray mode. You feel me? Like his name is Charles. No, I'm kidding.
Charles. Oh,
No,
yeah.
shout out to
Hello.
my boy Gray Acuna.
What's up?
Yo, Grizzy, what up?
What up?
How you doing?
What up, early?
What up, early, baby?
Yeah, baby.
Dang, it's so fun. Look how sophisticated.
Hey, I got to clean up a little bit.
Why you look like you own a boat?
I may one day,
Come on.
It might be a Nautique 23 one day.
Wait, what's that mean?
No, it's a.
Is that a type of boat?
It's a wakeboarding.
See,
wake
the
surfing
fact
boat.
that you knew what a boat type name was,
Well, I am married to a white woman,
that is true.
and we like to wake surf. We like to do water activities.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I don't be doing the water stuff. And don't.
I didn't say nothing. What'd I say?
It was implied.
You said it.
No, because I knew what I set myself up for.
Yeah.
I don't not do water stuff because of my ethnicity. Is it? It
Oh,
might
no.
be.
You know
Ma-
what?
do you
That's a
think it
gray
is?
area
I
for
mean,
me.
actually, no, we're not going to put you in that position to answer that. Let me answer it.
Yes, please.
I think it might be a cultural stigma because, no, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
I think there's just as many people, Sprite and Coke. You get what I'm saying here? Sprite.
So what am I, a
Coke.
Fanta or what?
You're like, you're technically a Coke, fool.
I'm
No,
a
yeah.
I'm the one from Mexico though.
Yeah,
La
but
Coca.
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 What would it be? Sprite, Coke, and
Fanta.
root, you like a root beer.
root beer? No, we Fanta.
Fanta.
Wanna Fanta?
Don't you wanna Fanta? Anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a stigma because people say it's a stigma, not because actually, like I feel like there's just as many Sprites that don't care to get wet all the time. They just don't talk about it. Like
I
it's
mean,
just assumed
There's
that you
plenty of Fantas that don't swim.
see. Why
They
is it not a
just-
stigma for y'all?
They stay on the shallow end.
See?
We just don't. Here's the thing about Fantas is, for the most part,
Yeah.
most Fantas don't have access to what would require you to go into the depths of the water.
Oh.
Right? We like to swim.
Floaties? Oh, wait, did I miss it?
Wow.
I missed it. Wait, what?
Wow.
What?
I was talking about when you go to a lake
Uh
and they have the boundaries.
huh.
Fantas, we don't exceed those boundaries.
I
Now,
see.
I was an exception. I was the one that would try and touch the buoy as far as I could.
Is there? Do you have any Sprite in you?
No, I'm 100% Fanta.
Dang.
Well, I actually found out I'm 56% Native American.
Oh,
I'm not sure what kind of
I
beverage they
got
would
some
be.
of that in me. I do.
Yeah?
From my dad's side.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a little It's called the tribe of Cheyenne.
Mm.
The tribe is called Cheyenne. Google it.
Really?
That's
That's a real thing?
It's real.
I can't tell if you're joking.
I know. No,
right
I'm
now.
serious. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. No, I'm serious. No,
Yeah, my auntie Cheyenne.
no, dead serious. Like forever. My dad's mom
Okay.
is Native American and whatever she is. Not black. She ain't got no black in her. And then she married a black guy
Okay.
and had my dad.
Got
And
it.
then my dad married a black woman and had me and my sister.
Wow.
But whatever my grandma is, well, I know what it is. It's Cheyenne, but that's where that comes from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have are you registered through the tribe?
I think I usually get a scholarship.
Yeah.
I think I did actually.
Hey. For those of y'all that don't know, if you're Native American and you can prove it, it's a lot of scholarships. There's a lot of free money. There's some tribes that actually give you money monthly.
Side note, I'm in silk pajamas. And you wanna know why I'm in silk pajamas? Because I said, why not? Because I felt like it. Because if it's your podcast, you can do that.
It's true.
So get your podcast and you can do this too.
Yeah. I forgot mine at home.
I didn't tell him because I didn't want it to look like a slumber party episode. So I was like, I'm gonna just do it and just vibe. Yeah. And I wanted to be comfortable because I was like, you know what?
It
We
does
about to be
look
sitting here.
comfortable.
It
Nice
is
and
comfortable.
silky.
Anyway, Gray. Who is Gray Acuna? Wait, so I don't think I know your middle name. What's your middle name?
Can you guess it?
What's it start with?
A.
Your last name starts with A. Who I can't guess. Acuna.
Acuna.
Gray Albert.
You know what? That's the closest that people have gotten
Really?
for sure. I don't think you'll guess it. I don't think you'll guess it. I'll give you a hint.
Give me no. Last letter.
O.
Alberto. No, for real.
No.
Okay. I know this. It's sometimes you gotta trick yourself and think you know something. It's
If you guess it, I'll be surprised.
Is it native to your land?
To Fantas, yes.
Yes. Okay. Alfredo? Okay, let me try again.
Are you hungry?
What's the second letter?
L.
Alberto. Wait, are y'all hearing this? I'm sorry. What's the third letter? B. What's the third letter?
F.
Alfredo. Is this? Are you joking?
I'm not. This is.
Alfonso.
You have not got it. You got it.
Oh,
Alfonso.
Alfonso.
So the way you say my name, most people growing up, they'd call me Gray Acuna. Like Acuna Matata was like.
Yeah. What's the proper pronunciation of the
Acuna.
Oh, so I be saying it right.
You say it right, yeah. But most people, even when I got into acting,
Courtney
Acuna,
don't even say it right.
Mila says it right.
Oh, because when Courtney be saying, she says Acuna.
Yeah, well, sometimes she says Acuna, but Mila's actually corrected her. Our daughter, she's been like, mommy, it's not Acuna, it's Acuna. And she says it whenever Mila introduces herself. She's like, hi, I'm Mila Gray Acuna.
Come on.
And I'm like,
what a great, dope middle name, though. So obviously your first name is her middle name, which is dope for a girl, because when I think of a girl as a Gray, it makes me think of X-Men. Gray, Jean Grey. That character's so dope. What was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So who is Gray Alfonso? Say it again.
Alfonso.
Who is Gray Alfonso Cunha? Who is he? Wait, so you from the land of Fanta, and then you have moved to where?
So I was born.
Where are you born? Yeah.
I was born in Dallas, Texas. Okay,
Oh.
raised in Marshall, Texas.
Country. You ain't
East
no
Texas.
Fanta.
I used to talk like this, real talk.
Yeah, actually.
Real talk.
What happened to it?
Well, when I got into acting, my agent said that, hey, you know what? Like, your name is
Anybody
Gray
else not buying the accent? Right now?
Acuna, and it's great and all, but it doesn't match the way you're categorized, and so I'm categorized ethnically ambiguous.
Correct.
And so they want me to be diverse, right?
Correct.
You can't really pin down where I'm from.
True.
And so I was talking like this, and I said, I asked her, I said, well, can I keep just talking like this? And she said, well, it's up to you, but if you don't get jobs, this is why. And so I trained myself to speak like this now.
You trained yourself?
I literally trained myself.
So I had to go to class for that.
Oh,
and
no,
it still ain't helped, because I'm
But it
still
happened with
ratchet.
Spanish too.
Huh?
Happened with Spanish as well.
Wait, what?
So Spanish,
yeah.
because in Mexico, there's obviously, just like here, I mean, there's different classes, right?
Yeah.
So my parents are very low class when they moved. Like, their family was very low class. My dad, he dropped out of school whenever he was like, I think in first or second grade.
Oh, wow.
To clean shoes. He didn't get a proper education. He was the oldest of all his brothers and sisters.
Whoa.
And so
imagine not going to school from first grade on.
he was out
first. You said when he was 1 or 2. What'd you say?
No, when he was in first or second grade.
Right.
So he was about 6 or 7 when he started going out. Because in Mexico, that was common.
Man.
Like the oldest child would always be the one that would have to go to work, and the younger ones would be the one that would benefit from the education.
Ah.
And so My dad started it's called boleando zapatos, which means he would just essentially go out and
Something
just
shoes?
buff the leather shoes.
Okay.
So he'd always have that, and he would go, and it was
I didn't know none of this. It's fascinating.
yeah. So my dad didn't have a proper education, and that's how he grew up. And then he became the breadwinner for his family, and then eventually came to the States and met my mom here. And then
shut up.
right when they met, they had my sister, and then they had me.
And where's your mom from?
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
My dad is from this little town called Tejupilco. My mom is from this little town called Amatepec. Those towns are literally 30 minutes from each other.
But they met in America.
But they met in the States. And so when we would go back, we'd go to Mexico every 6 months. And we would go visit my dad's family in Tejupilco, and then we'd visit my mom's family in Amatepec, and it was just a 30-minute drive up the street.
Bruh, how convenient.
Isn't that crazy?
They could have dated in high school and not known it. I mean, no,
back
they
in
would've
those
known it,
days, it was
obviously.
a little different, but yeah, I mean, they were that close.
They were that
Because, I mean,
close.
there's the thought of that.
How were they not in the same school? Are they different ages?
They were different ages.
Oh, okay.
My dad's 5 years older than my mom.
Okay, never mind. But I'm like, they would have been in the same school district, I would imagine. No, 30 minutes is kind of far. Never mind.
No, but
For that.
so they met here, and then I was born in Dallas, raised in Marshall, Texas, and now I'm good old Los Angeles.
Do you miss
But
Texas?
what I was saying
what were you
about
gonna say,
the Mexico the Mexican that I have to, the language of Spanish that I had to speak, I was speaking a lot of slang Spanish. So it was like, in the best ways that I can describe it is I was speaking kind of ghetto.
Yeah, he was
just slang.
Yeah.
Just everything was cut off. I'd
Right.
use other words, and then every time I do auditions, they'd always want proper Spanish. They call it Mexico City Spanish, which which I don't know why they categorize that. They could just say proper Spanish,
Right.
which is okay. But they always want to say Mexico City Spanish, which would mean we want proper the Spanish. We want it to be neutral. So we don't want to know what region you're from.
Okay.
Either
like a
Mexico,
Middle American
South
accent.
America, and so it's just like it's
Right.
like American, right?
Middle
If I
American, yeah.
talk like this, and you know I'm from the South, right?
Right.
But if I talk like this, then you're trying to figure
Or if
out
I talk, get a coffee, yeah.
yeah, like I'm walking here.
Yeah, where are you from? It's not Middle America.
Yeah.
But if I speak like this, you don't know where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Exactly.
It's a little country
Or
still, sorry.
how you guys, how are you doing?
Where's
That's from
that?
the Midwest, I think.
Oh, I was like, are you
Yeah.
trying to do like, or
You-
like big?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, that's kind of Boston-y. Maybe like,
It's a little Boston.
what's it called? Bagel. Like they say
No.
bag,
Bagel?
like a bag is big. BEG sounding. Maybe
I
not.
haven't studied
don't know.
that
Sorry, I don't really know
accent
what I'm talking
enough. I mean, there's not a lot of Latinos in the Midwest, to be honest.
Man,
You know, we try to stay in the warmer areas.
y'all stay where the heat lies.
So I had to learn how to not only properly speak English, but then also how to properly speak Spanish.
Is it
And now it's
racist?
stuck to me.
Is it racist of us? Not racist. That's not the word. Is it weird of us that we do a South African attempt regularly?
South African?
Yes.
No, that's not South African.
No, what we do normally on the phone
Yeah, so,
is South African.
well, I mean, a little bit. But South Africans are
We're not going to
more
do
proper.
it and don't do it.
No, we got to do it now. People are curious.
No, we got to do it now. We got to do it now.
So,
Because I'm going to be good.
oh, I have no problem. People.
Oh, you
when
already did it on Instagram. I seen the video.
Yeah, I did it. It's not a big deal to me.
So let's hear your attempt. Disclaimer, I suck at accents. He thinks he's good at them.
We'll let you be the judge.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Wait, and how this came about for me is because in my head, as an actor, I was like, yo, I'm gonna prepare for maybe my chance if the Black Panther calls and they ready for more actors that they want and they're gonna need this accent. So I started working on one, I kid you not, I started working on one just in case one of the Black Panthers is looking for Black actors and I was gonna be prepared. What you're not gonna do is catch me not ready. You feel me?
that'll preach.
Anyway, but I don't know why you started working on it.
Well, you know, I've been told that I'm the parrot of my generation. And
Bird brain, stupid as hell.
wow.
That's what I took from that.
No, that's not what I meant. I actually meant that I can mimic things.
Oh,
So if I listen to it enough,
copycat. Not,
just so you
not
guys
original,
know, the
no
preface
innovation.
on how I gained this accent was me and my wife used to go to Uganda. I've been to
Oh.
Uganda 4 times. My wife has been, I think, 6 or 7 times.
Okay.
And so in Uganda, obviously the kids all have African accents.
Correct.
And so being around them for extended periods of time, 4 years in a row, I picked up on a lot of the ways that they spoke, and even to the point where I would mimic them. So whenever they would
it's kinda
hear
like
me,
being around a brick,
they'd be
like
so
you
thrown
start-
off
yeah.
because to them, they were like, "Who is this foreigner? Just like sounds just like me." But it's just because
Okay.
if I'm around you,
He gassing himself up. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you would never know that he's not from here." He think he that good. Do it. We're done. The backstory
well,
is beautiful.
I was given the backstory because it is a beautiful story.
It is a beautiful story. Actually.
We used to do sports camps for kids in third world countries.
That actually is dope.
And it was like church camp for them. And so we would provide them with gear and just for a week where they didn't have to think about anything. It was called Reaction Tour.
Okay.
And literally it was during the day we'd do sports, and then in the afternoons we'd have like church services for them.
That's dope.
And then we would give them food, clothes, everything they needed, soccer shoes, basketball shoes. We'd have tournaments. We'd bring out from teams from outside, bring them in to like have that full experience. So yeah.
But what it don't justify is your accent. You did a great deed for mankind, and we all support that. But let's see what it did for the accent.
Well, my brother, I tell you, when I'm there, I have to say, "Hello, what is your name?"
Oh, that's actually really good. Now let me do mine.
Go ahead. Let me hear.
Lisa.
Listen. Every time I call him, listen.
I have to listen. I have to say the word. I have to say the word because if I say the right word, it helps. What it can do for me is it can help me drop into the place I need to be accent-wise.
My
That
brother,
was actually better than I've done in a long time.
that is better.
Okay.
But the thing is, you sound so Jamaican.
Okay, man, I don't do it. I don't sound like a Jamaican. Okay, first of all, disclaimer again, I know I'm bad at all of them. How was his? Let us know in the comments.
Yes.
But that's fine.
Wakanda forever.
These are what our phone calls sound like.
I
kid
never
you not.
freeze.
We answer the phone like this every
Bombay.
time.
I can't remember what the gorilla character
I don't know what
does.
that is.
I
What's
love
from?
that character, by the way.
It kind of sounds like Shark. Finding
Shark
Nemo.
bait.
Yeah. Except African. Anyway, side ADD. I tell y'all every time. But anyway, back to your journey in life. So little Gray was in. You said you was born where? Germany. This is our friendship. I don't be listening to half the stuff he say. Wait,
Man.
what is it?
I think you're just thinking about what you want to say when I'm saying things so that you can say what you want to say.
And I'm
instead of
hungry
listening to
too.
me.
You know when you be hungry, your brain don't be
yeah.
hitting. Wait. You were born in Texas,
I was born in Texas, Lone Star State.
Lone Star State. We call it the Beyonce State, but that's cool. No, we don't. But born in Texas, and you stayed there until you were old enough to move to. Not old enough, but until you finally moved to LA, right? You stayed there.
Yeah, that was almost 6. That was a little bit over, close to 6 years ago.
And you're married. You said we already heard you're married. He has a beautiful child.
Wife.
And ironically enough, his wife Courtney is the producer of this show.
It's true.
You've met her, maybe, depending on which order these episodes are in. Cool. So what I'm interested in, the question I ask each person. Oh, pause. Let me do the quote of the day. Let me give you the quote of the day, and then we'll go from there. But I do have another question, obviously. It's a podcast. I have many questions. Quote of the day. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Once again, Winston Churchill said that. I'll be forgetting to say who said the quote. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. What do you take from that? Probably pretty self-explanatory, but what do you take from that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess it's kind of been my life because I think what we have as a definition of success changes, right?
Yeah.
We believe, we always have this greener grass complex where we believe that, hey, once we attain something, we get this job, we make this amount of money, we get this role, we're on this show, we're on this movie, we do these things, then I'm going to be successful.
Right.
Right. But then you attain it and then you arrive and you're just like, wow, this isn't what I expected.
Right.
I expected this like freedom or release. Why are you laughing? I'm being serious.
I know.
right now.
It's a beautiful answer. You just said, sorry, I'm a child. You said successful.
You hear this, man? Anyway.
But seriously though.
But let me continue my thought.
Please.
No,
you
you
were
want to
actually-
do you want to compose yourself for a second?
You were actually saying something dope. Like for real.
It's true because
Yeah.
I've had it happen too many times in my life. But I think what a lot of people also neglect to think about is that it requires a lot of failure to get to that success.
It does.
And sometimes
That's
the
facts.
failure is fatal for people.
But should it be?
No, it shouldn't be.
Right. But fatal, are we talking literal, like that sometimes they'll actually kill themselves? Are we talking that fatal or like mentally?
No. Fatal to
emotionally?
their dreams. I mean,
Right.
they'll kill their dreams.
Right.
We all have dreams, and we think about what we want to be when we grow up, or what we want to do in the next 5 years, what we want to do in the next 10 years. What do we want our legacy to be like, right? And I think within that requires a lot of failure, a lot of failure. And if it becomes fatal, then you just won't know what true success feels like. But to me, at least, I guess that quote just tells me that it's just a journey. And now you laughing about something.
Have y'all
wow,
ever?
you're
No.
ADD,
I can
man,
explain
truly.
it. Sorry, me and my sister know what's going on with me right now. Have you ever laughed because you know you're not supposed to? And the only reason I was smiling in the first place was because sometimes when you're proud of somebody, I was like, "That's a really good answer." Then in my face, I was like, "Don't laugh because he's gonna think that you're not thinking that's a good answer." And then I was like, "Oh well, now I'm laughing," and I'm not laughing because I loved what he said. But like when you know people, you'd be like,
We know each other too
good
well.
job. That was a good answer.
We always joke. I will give him credit. We always. We will have very serious
We've had
conversations,
very serious,
very in-depth conversations. We've been there for each other for some really hard times, but we joke.
And the
90%
haters
of the time.
watching probably know the time he's talking about. Hey. But no, you was there for me through some very, very tough, very vice versa, both tough times.
You know what? I want to talk about that because I don't think a
do
lot
it.
of people get to see that element of you. I think, we all know Titus as this ball of energy, this loving, affectionate guy who will make you feel seen no matter how dark it is in the place. Like he will find your light and he will make sure you see it and you shine it on people so beautifully. I got to say that about you. And I think that that's a resounding answer amongst other people that love you and are affectionate towards you, because ultimately you feel like a hug, you feel like home to people. And I don't think a lot of people see the elements of you where you're not just given, right? There are moments you have a battery that you need refilled too. And I think that's the beauty of how we became so close was because you demonstrated something that I'd been aching in a relationship amongst men, right? Because ultimately with men, we always want to be like, hey, yo, no, yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. No matter what it is, no matter how tough it is.
Right.
We're always like, yo, I'm good. I'm good, dude. Like, I appreciate you checking on me, but I'm good.
Right. Like,
but whenever you were going through your stuff, you were so vulnerable. And we weren't crazy deep at the time. We were fairly new in our friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it catapulted our friendship levels. I mean, it was something that I had never experienced before, because I don't think anybody had been that transparent, that trusting, and that vulnerable as a man to me.
Come on.
Which then ultimately, whenever I needed your support and your love, I felt safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I think, a lot of people may not know about you, is that you truly are such a person that when you're in need, you're asking for it, right? And you're not only asking for it, but you're receiving the love, receiving the criticism, receiving the direction, receiving the correction, whatever it is that you need for that moment. You truly do receive it, and you do pivot, and you do change, and you do hear and listen.
Right.
I know you said you talk about how you have ADD, but in those moments, I think you were the most. Your attention was so deadpan on whatever we were saying that you were just like, "That's right, that's right, that's right." And so, I think that's why we joke a lot, but when we do have serious conversations, it's something that you created a safe space for me that I had never had before. Even, I'm 34 years old, and I hadn't had that.
You said a lot. You doing a little number. See, that's why you can't have friends on stuff, because they be trying to get on deep because they know your deep spots. But one, honored, because I know obviously just from being in your circle that it's not common for you to be transparently open. Like, but I think that's a cultural, maybe not generational anymore, but definitely a cultural thing amongst people of color, men. Like, especially, I can't attest to not that, but I know for a fact, like, just even in a Black household, it's not something like, me and my family, we're open and we talk. Like, definitely when I'm going through something specific, like all the stuff I was going through when we met, and when we met before that, but that you're talking about, I was just as transparent with them. Like, we're able to do that, but it's not like, unless something traumatic is going on, you don't really talk about stuff. It's just not what you do. Like, you just
you're
kind of
not
laugh
wrong.
and have a good time and keep moving through life. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back to you. That means a lot to hear. And I'm not going to be naive. Like, I know that I'm perceived and received well, typically, when it comes to the energy. Like, people have always told me, like, oh, you feel comfortable. You make me feel warm or seen. And I'm like, cool. That is a goal of mine, because I want to feel that way from people. You know what I mean? But like, obviously, what I've learned as I got older is the sensitivity that you have to have with that space, because I so easily welcome people in.
Yeah.
That's how much more I need to be protecting my space, is because my go-to is to be open, loud, bubbly, boom. And it's like, and I'm also, a misconception is I'm really an open book. Like, people don't like to, but I'm not going to walk in and just drop off my business. Like, you're not asking. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, but if you ask me, like, if you sit me down and be like, yo, is this true? I'm like, man, yeah, that's one of them. You know what I mean? Like, it is
true.
Like, there's nothing, I don't find interest in lying. To be honest, it's just like, I'm not going to, but anyway, with all that said, I've like grown and learned to protect my space more.
Yeah.
Be more aware and cautious of the people I'm inviting in that space, because obviously he witnessed me learn that even though you say you got a lot of friends, everybody's not team you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they waiting on your downfall. Like, they're gonna jump on ship and take you down. People love drama, people love issues. If you hear something fascinating, you're gonna jump right on and be like, blah, blah, blah. You're not gonna think about the other person as a human. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that has, like, it's not a robot.
100%.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, but what it did is teach me to have a smaller circle, more, and it was like, okay, with that, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, but what I was going to say within that, though, I don't know if it necessarily taught you that you needed to have a smaller circle. I think it just taught you that maybe your perception of how big your circle needed to be diminished.
I like
because
that.
ultimately, I remember when I celebrated my 30th birthday, and I said this to Courtney whenever I was celebrating. The day after, I literally woke up the next morning, and there was so many people there at my 30th birthday, and I felt all the love and affection. And you know me, I love being around people. I'm the opposite of you. Like, I can go to a crowd and make friends with anybody.
Right.
And Courtney is still, like, to this day, she's always just like, I just don't know how you do it. I don't know.
Do not know.
I just talk to people, I ask them questions, and then I tag on to something.
Yeah.
But there was something that happened in my 30th birthday, because I think what made me realize in my 30th birthday was that I had a whole decade of adulthood to reflect on, that I'm like, okay, in this decade, as an adult, I accomplished this. And in teenagers, you're like, oh, in teenagers, I was just living life. I was just doing whatever I wanted.
Right.
When I was below 10 years old, I was a kid.
Right.
There was always a justification of it. But when I was 30, I had all my 20s to reflect on.
Right.
And I told my wife, I was like, I think when I celebrate my 40th birthday, I would rather there be 10 people in the room that I did the last 10 years with, thick and thin, than a room full of people that I spoke to in the first 10 years.
I 100%.
And it has changed my perception of how I do friendships, because ultimately, one, it requires me to be more intentional.
Yeah.
It requires me to also be more vulnerable with my friends.
Right.
But then also to really pursue the depth that I want out of it, right? Because I think for my 20th, and I'm guilty of this, I'm sure a lot of men are, especially like you said, Latinos, African American, we're all very much, yo, I'm good. We have those I'm good relationships where we talk periodically about the problems, but you're like, hey, yo, I'm just checking on you. Good? I'm good. Good, man. Hey, if you want to talk to me, I'm here. I respect your privacy, but I'm here.
Right.
And then it never graduates from that.
Right.
And so I think within that, it just made me realize, for me, and I think for you, I think that was a wake up moment of, you know what? Like, I would rather have a smaller circle that I instill trust in instead of a bigger circle that I share with. Yeah. Because it just is different, because you can't share with everybody.
You can't. And that's
because you just never know people's intentions.
Yep. And
especially as you continue to, the difficulty that we have in what we do as actors is that for us to succeed within our profession, it does require a certain level of elevation, right? Like what people say, your star is rising, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You get more famous, more people know you.
Right.
But within that comes the people that know about you, that know things about you, that then have greed, have anger, have whatever negative connotation about you, and then for whatever reason, then they try and expose you for things, right? And it's something that we have to be so sensitive as actors, because ultimately, who knows, tomorrow I could book something massive and somebody be accusing me of something that I did in my early 20s. Right. But we don't know that. Now, if for us to be successful in what we're doing, and unfortunately, it does require that landscape where we just have to navigate it as it comes. But it is a very, it's a tricky landscape, because I always say I want to be well known amongst my peers, and I still want to be able to walk down the beach with my family and not have any issues.
Right. It's so nuanced, bro. Just because everything you said is accurate, and it baffles me, because I'm like, so because of my career desire, I have to now accept everybody's opinion and thoughts on my life resume. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's just wild that I'm like, so just because I'm an actor or a singer or whatever, you have the right to go into my skeletons of people I've known. You know what I mean? Like, why?
It's just, the thing about it is, we're just like, I would say that actors, musicians, politicians, people that are in leadership are just held at a higher standard, right? And unfortunately, it's just a society that we live in, right? And then the actors and musicians and anyone in pop culture is held to an even higher standard, because ultimately, you slip and fall on your face as a regular human being, only your circle, only your community knows about it, but then they very soon forget about it, because it becomes old news. But in pop culture, you fall on your face, it's front page, TMZ's reporting it, these people are reporting it, that person wants to report this, then they want to go discover that.
And how disgusting that there's people that enjoy and thrive off of that. Like somebody's downfall. That baffles me. I'm like, that's fueling you? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, no matter how much you disagree with somebody on their downfall, whatever they did, it's like, cool, you don't have to agree with any of the actions. That's not what we're saying. You ain't got to green light nothing that you disagree with. But why celebrate the downfall of something? That baffles me. I'm like, you have nothing else to do.
Keep you up at
with
night,
your life,
man.
I'm like, are you so unhappy?
But that's gotta be so exhausting,
that
though,
brings
because
you joy?
Well, I think the joy element of it, at least from observing people that, to me, in those aspects, are really hurt people searching for some validation, right? And they're grasping on to whatever they can of that validation that they need. And I think whenever they get it, then they realize how disgusting they are, right? In that element, which ultimately brings on shame, which then ultimately they either have to go with the story, or they have to,
they got to commit.
They got to circle back and just be like, yo, I was wrong. But them being wrong, the shame won't allow them to do it.
Right, exactly. I was like, good luck with that. Because if they were in a position to be demented enough to like invest their heart and time into something so foul, I'm like,
but here's the thing:
how are you circling back? Therapy, maybe?
I think for sure. I mean, a lot of therapy. Because if someone truly had a great state of mind, they would not gain pleasure or need the desire to have what they may call closure, right? What they may need somebody to hear them, right?
You know how many times, as a human, a 35-year-old human, that I've experienced, seen, done, been hurt, been yelled at, like experienced all this, like the majority of things that people will like go through cancel culture, canceling people out. Like now, when I say that, I'm not talking about on some elevated level of like drugging people and like that. I'm talking about like,
we're not talking about Diddy.
Right. I'm talking about basic stuff here. And I'm like,
Diddy, you guilty, my boy.
I'm like, what? Like, have you not had any life experiences like that shook you up that much? Like, you have never encountered anybody else in your life.
But here's the thing,
it has
Titus,
to do with the stat. It has to.
Well, I mean, obviously, we now this day and age know about disorders and mental states that it's their truth, right? That is their truth. They're so narcissistic that, and I know that word gets thrown around a lot. Like you're so set on your ways, you're narcissistic. But no, there are truly people, because I think there's one thing of saying, hey, you know what? This is my truth. But then it gets opened up and then you realize, oh, actually it wasn't. But then you revert back and be like, you know what? I was wrong. That's a person that just was wrong. But if a person was truly narcissistic, like, no, I don't care what you got to say. This is true. And this is why I know it's true. Regardless of the facts that you bring to me, this is why I know it's true. and we just
wild.
live in that culture. I mean, it's sad, but it's just you. That's why I think having that tight circle makes you realize the people that you want to have around you.
Right.
You know
And,
what
and
I
I
mean?
think that's where that hole happens. Like that's what's missing. The missing link of a bigger circle is you can't afford and I was warned of this when having a bigger circle of friends. Like I said, I'm gonna always admit something if it's true. So I'm like, I was warned that like, hey, like it's hard to like spread yourself thin and like that everybody don't really know you. And I was told it, but I was like, it's fine. Like if I'm showing love, like why would they not show love back? Like if my objective is not to hurt you, why would your objective be to hurt me? Do you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't exist. False. It's not a real concept. Like people are gonna have their objectives, period. But anyway, like the whole is not being able to be vulnerably open with everybody so people do know where you genuinely are coming from. When your circle's smaller, I put everything out on the table for you. You know my intentions across the board because what'd you say?
Oh, yes, I do.
But like you would know, no matter what would happen in our friendship, you know me at such a deeper level than any of those other people I used to hang out with because I've allowed you into that space. So now if something is a mishap or a miscommunication of some sort, now you can connect to where that might be coming from or whatever. But in a bigger group, I'm only seeing you in brief passings. We hanging out. I'm showing you the best colors. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just attesting to what you were saying. It's just like, it does prove to be true for me that I'm like, oh, it actually does benefit to have more intimate, smaller relationships where it's like, you can actually know who I am and see me for who I am. I mean, I said that already, but that's what it is.
I think this is where you know that you're dealing with the right people, is that when you share something so intimate that the light that shines over you doesn't change its color. Because
We'll say that
ultimately,
again. Hold on.
this is when you know it's when you have a relationship that's truly intimate, the light that shines over you from their perception does not change its color.
Oh, amen. Yeah.
You know, because ultimately they're going to see you at a different light, right?
Right.
Different color, different angle, because it's ultimately you've shared something that maybe they may question, that they may have made their own convictions, or maybe they don't fully agree with. But at the end of the day, you shared it because you need support, right?
Right.
You're not sharing it because you're like, hey, so I did this thing. You think it's wrong? You know it's wrong.
Right. I'm like,
Or you may not know it's wrong, or you may be questioning, hey, was I wrong?
Right.
But ultimately,
That part.
you're coming for support, not coming for correction, right? And I think that's where the difference is, because if you have people that are just constantly correcting you in your life, that gets exhausting, dude. I've had friends like that where I'm just like, bro, I don't need to hear how to put this back together.
Right.
I just need you to hear me and listen to me and know that, hey, you know what? Gray's hurting. I'm gonna love on him, right? Just as much as Titus is hurting, I'm gonna love on him.
Yep.
I don't need to fix you.
Right.
That's not my job.
Whew, that's a big
You
one.
know?
Because the old group I was in, I think the issue, I mean, there's many issues.
And I say that that's not my job. I think my fixing comes from the love that I give you.
Yes. And I was going to say that. I was like, the objective to fix somebody, I'm like, in that case, if you can't process what I'm already offering, we're just not that's fine. We're just not friends. And as opposed to, well, you should be doing this. Like, this is how it should be. And it's like, well, that's also your walk, your life. I'm a whole different person, whole different experience. I'm trying to navigate my own life. And that's another point that I'm kind of rabbit trailing to with being in the industry and people having an opinion on your journey or your life. And it's like, newsflash, I don't know what I'm doing either. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea. Like, I'm making good choices, bad choices, figuring out. I'm like, it's not as black and white as like, oh, well, that's your intention and that's what you're doing. That's who you are. Clearly, you meant to do this, this, and this. It's like, nope, I ain't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Through my 20s, I don't know. I was figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? There's no, and you hear this all the time, but it's so true. There's no guidebook to being a celebrity. And I don't consider myself a celebrity, but just from other people's perspective of who I am in their eyes, just being on TV, I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm literally learning as I go. And I'm like,
The thing is,
little grace would be great. Like, I'm like,
I think that there's not a guidebook necessarily. I think a lot of people reflect on the acting career side. We teach the technique of acting, how to be good on screen. We teach on how to do great interviews. We teach on all these elements of what the performance element of it is. But I think there is very minimal that I know of. I don't know, you may know of some, that educational element of what comes with that, right? The fame, the fortune, the people that are going to come for you, the way that you should approach certain things, right? It's like when you get in the White House, you have a briefing team that ultimately tells you the lay of the land of like, hey, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. There's nothing like that for acting, right? No. So when you blow up, that's why you see so many actors rise and fall, because ultimately they get all this fame, all this fortune, and then they're just like, boom, right in their face. And it's just because ultimately, and we know this, is we're products.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you want to dissect it, acting is a beautiful thing that we get to do. And we're both very gifted and thankful and blessed to be able to use our gifts that we have to share and tell stories on screen.
Right.
But ultimately, sometimes it's not even that deep.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
And we are very expendable at the end of the day, regardless of who you are. How many A-listers have you seen rise and fall?
Exactly. And that's what I'm like, and that's why people throw around this term power. And you're like, I can speak for myself. I don't know about anybody else's journey. I don't know about what power or not power certain people have, but I'm like, that word is used very loose when it comes to a resume. And I'm like, because I've been accused of that. Like people be like, yeah, well, you know, your power, like you have power in industry. And I'm like, what? I'm so expendable. Like
if they only knew
that's
how
what I'm saying. I'm like, do you know how that works? I was like, I can't get nobody no job. I can barely keep my own job. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm fending to get a job. I'm like, the power that lies where? Because I'm like, well, give me some of that so I can go get myself some jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I have so much power.
We're definitely way beyond those days of where people, I think back in the day, there was such thing. You know,
back for sure.
The Harvey Weinsteins of the time, like those guys had this power, right? And so they reflect that energy on every single person that is successful within the industry, which is just not accurate.
Now, and I will say it does exist
for sure
on higher levels. Absolutely. When we're talking about owners of networks and high up producers and directors, yes, there is a power play at hand. But I'm like, on your journey as an actor, I'm like, what is the misconception? Like, where did your screw go loose that you thought that I have a say at all?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't even choose which role I want. I have no say in the roles I do.
I do think it's a cultural thing, though. You know,
1,000%.
You know, it's something that
1,000% cultural.
Within certain cultures, certain things are allowed, some are not. Right. Some are spoken about, some are not. Right. So when you don't speak about things, then you just assume that it's wrong or right, depending on your own convictions. And so when you're in the process of doing something or not doing something, then you realize, oh, yeah, this is good, or no, this is bad, or no one knows about it, or no one will know about it because no one needs to talk about it. You know, it's something that it changes and shifts and evolves as we progress with, I guess, now where we're at now with acting in the industry itself. It has completely changed, because even actors that we know now that have big names, I mean, they gotta sleep with one eye open and figure out who they gotta keep next to them, because ultimately these little guys here, these right here are all the evidence we need nowadays.
And it's just like, that's fine. That's fine. That's not even what I have. I mean, I'm not saying you have an issue with it, but that's not what I have an issue with. It's more so the pedestal of it all, where I'm like, why are we so quick to forget that somebody's human? Like, I'm like, okay, fine. If you wanna kill me on the whatever, what's the saying? Die on that, you don't want to die on that hill. If you want to kill me on the hill of, well, you've worked a lot in the industry, like, you should be doing this, and this is the example you should be setting, I'll let you feel that way. Okay. Like, I'm aware of what I signed up for, and I'm aware that because I'm in this position, I guess apparently I'm supposed to allow everyone to throw their darts. Do you know what I'm saying? But if you're going to throw darts, if you're going to have an opinion and a view and an idea of my character, who I am as an entertainer, at least remember that you're dealing with a human. Like, I feel like people can't compute that. Like, they're like, oh, well, if you're making a lot of money and doing a lot of stuff, you ain't got feelings. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, so, and we can even take it out of my life and go online, and you can just see the hate online. Like, you taking time out of your day to
Bro,
let that person know, to let Cardi B know how much you hate her fake butt.
them comments,
Like-
man.
Like, I'm like, y'all are really spending time
Keyboard warriors just
for what? And they're like, well, she can deal with it. She's a famous. Like, she should be able to deal with it. She's still a human. Like, I mean, especially in like Christian community, like you think that they would remember the human quality. And a lot of them do. And I say them, I'm in Christian community myself. But I'm saying a lot of them do have that compassion and understanding of like, okay, I don't like the actions happening, but I understand that you're somebody on a journey and where can we improve this?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I don't like what you're doing. It's canceled for me. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, where's the grace? I was like, if God gives that same grace to us regularly, daily, for sinning regularly, I'm like, why do we have such a hard time showing that back to people? Like, I just don't believe that there should be, I don't know. I just can't get behind the jumping on board effect of trying to harm somebody's heart or character.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does that person come back from that? I'm like, if I just witness the Christian people doing that, then are you shocked when the world views a Christian as an oppressive people?
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's why Christianity has gotten such a bad rap.
yeah, it sucks.
Even within, you know, we're both believers here, and we've all experienced elements of what I would call toxic Christianity.
Absolutely.
You know, it's something that I think there are people
and
that,
I've been a toxic Christian myself. Like, I'm definitely not saying I'm over here being like, I've done all the right things. I've done.
and we're not all sanctified, and that's not what we're saying. I think the difference is that we can reflect and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong.
Exactly.
But it's not my job or duty to tell other people where they're wrong.
Exactly.
It's my relationship with Christ, of him and I, to figure out what I'm doing with myself.
Right.
You worrying about other people is you neglecting your own self.
Right.
Those people, man, I mean, honestly, I remember when conversations started about just the whole thing, right? I was just reflective, and I was I'm always the type that wants to put myself in their position, right? To understand the madness behind it.
And
right?
I'm the same way. Ironically enough, even though it was coming towards me, I'm like, okay, hold on. They might be on something. What I'm saying, what they on something?
Right.
Because
then you can reflect on your own on the own things, right?
Exactly.
You can reflect like, you know, maybe was I wrong?
Exactly.
Did I say that?
And if I am,
was it perceived that way?
I will gladly be like, honestly, kudos to y'all, because I wasn't even seeing that. And there are some elements in that group of people where I was like, I see this. I see where this trait is an issue. Yeah. Right. But I don't see some of the aggressive or like the lies. Like, I'm like, hold on. What's it called? The inflation. Yeah. I'm like, now that I can't agree with. But like,
the thing is that it's always difficult to speak on people that you don't know, right? Or truly know, because ultimately, if you truly knew them, then you would know their true character, right? Because they obviously didn't show you their true character. They showed you what they wanted to show you so that they can get close, and then ultimately, whatever it was that they were desiring out of it, they didn't receive it, so then they had to have some kind of repercussions. We see that time and time again with people. I mean, I don't know why I just thought about this, but it's like Mila's been obsessed with Selena. Right, Selena Quintanilla.
Oh, not Selena Gomez.
No, the real Selena.
Gotcha.
The real Selena. Gotcha. The Quintanilla. For those of you who don't know, that's Selena Quintanilla. She was a Tejano singer.
Everybody knows.
Some people don't know. Some people are like, oh, Selena Gomez.
That's true. I just did it.
You just did it, right?
Yeah.
But I just thought about this of where Mila watched the movie, and so she's big on Selena, and obviously the lady that killed Selena. Mila watched the movie and saw this woman be infatuated with Selena and show this person of her that Selena thought she could trust. And then we obviously know how the story ends. Selena gets killed by this person who was the head of her fan base. Like literally, she was a president of her fan base. Like talk about a more ironic story of people that you should have in your corner is the president. Everyone that you should have in your corner should be presidents of your fan base. Right. I am a big fan of when you succeed. Yeah. But also fans are there when you fall, right? They should be. You're true fans. So the president of your fan base should be there like rallying the people around you. It's like, hey, let's lift it up, right? Let's get it going. And so that was the I guess the
image
thought
of
that I
the thought,
had of how, people will be presidents of your fan base until they don't get what they want out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're the first person to turn around and cause such a fatal blow. Because the thing about the fatality of that blow is because you never saw it coming.
What? The blindsided it is unimaginable. Like,
And it hurts.
And it hurt. But that's what, like, situations like that you know about we're talking about, and we're talking very subliminally. I mean, if you know, great. But if you
Right.
don't, then it's very subliminal. But the point is,
was it if you know you? I'm so bad with that.
but the point is, I'm like, it literally, that specific situation got me to a very suicidal headspace. And obviously my close friends and family know, they were there throughout it. But the reason I did that, like, I was getting hearsay that they were like, oh, well, if he's feeling that way, well, and he's feeling suicidal and stuff like that, well, it's because he feels caught. No, ain't nobody caught. Like, I'm not going around offering my personal information to people. So yeah, you might be learning new things about my journey in life that are true and not true. But the thing that put me in that mindset was the fact that I could be in such a vulnerable, open space and somebody would want to hurt me at that level. Like the fact that me processing that somebody would want to be that hurtful, it's crazy. And it made me feel like, oh, well, hold on. It confused me. I'm like, well, if I have known them, and these are people I have known and that I've trusted with my heart and my brain, they had trusted me with theirs. Well, dang, am I whatever they're saying? Do you know what I mean? And it makes you question yourself because you're like, wait. If all I know is good vibes and all of a sudden bad, now there's bad vibes, then maybe am I a monster? Am I the issue? Am I all these things? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, I'm the first person to say, let's get rid of the monster. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, so if I'm the one causing the issues in everybody's life, then let's take out the issue. So that's where mine came from. Not because I felt caught or because I was like, that didn't exist for me. There was nothing to catch. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like, but if I'm creating, and this is across the board. I know we're speaking on a very specific topic, but this goes across the board for like even being bullied online or being like, this is not my first rodeo.
Way too common,
like there was people that hated my character from another show, and I had forums, and they were like going in on my character, like not my personal character, but my acting character, and attacking my acting. So I've been under attack before, but this was so different because it was so close to home.
To president of your fan base, man.
The president of my fan base, and it's like, and then people are like, well, if it's coming from those people, it must be real, and that's why it's even trickier because you're like, no. Like some of the most offensive, hurtful things come from some of the people closest to you. They know how to hurt you the most because they know how to guide what they know will affect you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a husband and wife, well, I know how to piss you off the most. Like, I'm gonna go right in there because I know that's not who you are, and you know that I know how to make it feel like that's who you are. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of like, it's wild. But those are the things that like push me to dark spaces that have in the past because I'm like, my genuine objective is to love people, period.
Yeah.
Now,
and that's the thing. I think the crazy part about it is, even within Christianity, we talk about that love like Jesus loved, right?
Right.
We even take Jesus out of it. We like this day and age, people always say just love on everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Bullying, like you talked about bullying, you talked about even cyberbullying, even just it's something that even joking at someone's expense, you don't know what that individual is fighting,
right?
And so it's something so, in a way, so tough to decipher in some individuals because ultimately, I know that most people that are out there just stabbing people, right? And I don't mean, I guess figuratively, I'm talking about with their words, with the way they act towards people, is because they are so wounded and so hurt. Right. But it's something that I think we got to be more sensitive to.
And give people room for humanity. I'm like, I think what also happens, I know specifically in my situation, I'm like, the pedestal is created around success, but also being a Christian who's successful. But then you take away the fact that I'm allowed to be human, right? So it's like, if you erase the fact that I'm allowed to be human, then you start holding me to a standard that I was never able to achieve in the first place. I was always going to fail you because if you don't give me room to be stupid and make dumb mistakes, that's, for example, the thing that pops in my head is like Bieber. Okay. Bieber was getting slain. As he got older, he started getting slain more and more for the stupid stuff he was doing in public, the dumb people he was hooking up with or peeing in public, all these things. And it's like, not that we have to agree with actions. Okay, that's fine. But give people space to be flawed. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not, once again, I'm not green lighting illegal activity and all these things.
Or toxic stuff. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
I hear
I'm
what you're
saying,
saying,
like,
though. Is
yeah, it's like, okay, you can't, let's just let's hold you to the same flame that you're putting people under, right? So if you can sit back and watch somebody else be successful and then wait to take them down based on any skeletons or thoughts or opinions you have from their past, then let's do the same for you. So if we're gonna play that game, let's dig up let's all sit in a circle and talk about how horrible and things we know Gray has done. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's gonna equal out to a messy person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's been perfect. People have always, through like the growing pains of maturity, done very stupid stuff.
yeah.
I've done plenty of things I'm not proud of. I've also done plenty of things that I'm like, I've grown from, and I'm happy that I experienced because it equaled out to who I am. So I'm like, I'm just like, just the pedestal of it all just irritates me because I'm like, when was I supposed to try or do anything in my life? Like, you were always going to hold me to something. Like, because of this, the lane night, if it wasn't this, you would have dug up something else. I'm positive. Like, you would have found something else because your intention is to harm.
Yeah.
If it was to help, then your approach would have been completely different. If you really wanted to help, then you wouldn't be trying. It, in my opinion, that's just how the devil works. Where it's like, I'm gonna wrap it up in a bow that looks like I'm a warrior, and like I'm on my high horse of like saving this. And it's like, you would just imagine that while you might be calling out good things that do need to be addressed, I'm not ignoring that. There are things that need to be addressed, but I think there's so much significance in how it happens and trusting in God. That if we trust in God, I do believe there's a scripture that says vengeance is his. So I'm like, I don't need to go out of my way to punish you.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm mad at you. Great. And if it's something in an illegal realm, go take the police or whatever. Great. Do what you need to do. But on a personal space, I can excommunicate from that and move on and move forward with my life and get the healing I need.
Yeah.
And I know that God's going to take you through what he needs to take you through to get you together. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I think you just gotta, I don't know, it's kind of been my thought of how life is. You know, I think we always say that movies help people escape, right?
Yeah.
People go to theaters to get away from their lives because they want to live vicariously through the characters that they're watching. Right. Have it be a good or bad movie. But if you're watching a movie that there is a hero or a person that you want to see succeed so bad, there's always a person in that storyline that wants to keep them from doing that, right? That always tries to knock them down, tries to make sure that they don't achieve what they're going to achieve. They always demean them. They always talk bad about them. They spread rumors about them. They try and hurt them intentionally. But if you pay attention to a lot of these movies, because obviously we know movies are very similar to real life, right? They can't make movies that are not similar to real life for nobody to relate to it.
Right.
How does the end always, how is the end every time? The hero wins.
I'm not good at the question thing.
Right?
In Bible school, I'd be like,
the hero wins, and the person that was trying to hurt them the entire time realizes how wrong they were. But then they have to fight with the fear, the doubt, the shame, whatever negative feelings that they're feeling outside of what they cause another person to feel.
Right.
And that's what our life is, man. I think too many times when you focus so much on somebody else's failure or trying to block their success, then if you pay attention in movies, you realize that at the end of every single movie, that person is always the worst one off. And that is life. I mean, at the end of the day, individuals that want to make their sole goal to hurt people, bring people down, bring stuff to the light, like that's got to be so exhausting to the point to where one day they're going to hit a wall so hard, and then they're going to, guess what? They're running towards this wall that they're ultimately going to hit head on. And then once they hit it and they turn around and ask for help, nobody's going to be there.
Which, in my little naive heart, which is so annoying because people that I've kept around me, I was like, I would think you would know this about me. But I'm like, and my little stupid heart is like, oh, I feel bad. But like, I don't want them to not have anybody. You know what I mean? Because even though and that's with my specific situation, and obviously I've been in therapy, obviously, through all that situation. And my therapist has helped a lot because I told him, like, up front, I'm an empath. My natural thing is to feel for them first.
Yeah.
And that's part of my problem is I don't check in with myself. So I'm like, my natural thing is like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like and then I want to protect and help even people that are quite outright trying to harm.
Yeah.
Like that are very clearly trying to fire at me. I'm like, but wait, like, do you have what you need? Like, I'm gonna be good. I can dodge your bullets, but like,
Right.
I just want to make sure you have the right guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, my instinct is like, so when you say something like that, when they're going to the wall, I'm like, oh, but I don't want that for them either. Like, my natural instinct is like, well, isn't our world where
Yeah, but they don't see nothing but the wall, and that's the thing. It's not your responsibility to change
isn't
the
our world where
perception.
we ain't got to be in each other's lives, but you can find peace. I can find peace and healing and growth,
Tunnel vision.
without us attacking each other.
Yeah,
that
but they got
doesn't
tunnel
exist.
vision. You know, the thing is, when individuals like that, they have rage or whatever it is that's fueling them, is they have tunnel vision, and they stay focused on their mission until they achieve it, and they realize that their mission meant nothing. And I think that's the most exhausting element of it for them, that ultimately is sad, because there are a lot of individuals right now that are on missions right now for whatever it is.
Exhausting.
And have it be in the keyboard warriors, have it be in
All
the
of it.
forums, have it be in whatever it is, even locally. Like, there are some people that are truly out to try and hurt somebody intentionally. But I think that the lesson in that is that you got to realize that, hey, when you finally achieve that, that greener grass complex that you're pursuing within whatever mission you want to achieve, you're going to turn around and you realize that you have not been taking care of your own grass. Right. And guess what? It's all dying. And guess what? There is nobody there to help you to rebuild it, because you've destroyed so much on the way, and nobody trusts you.
So 2 last things I want to say on all of this.
I don't know how we got so deep, but
I don't know, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm like, it clearly needed to happen. You know what I mean? Like, the 2 things I want to say is remember these words so I can remember where to go. So if I get derailed. Intention, and then also intention and see, I already forgot. Hold on. Intention and I forgot it. Let's just stick with intention for now. It might come back to me. But anyway, the intention thing, when you said intention, it made me think right off the bat. Like, I was like, here's also what I was unpacking with my therapist. The thing that hurts when you're under fire, because I heard this from the accusers, it was as I guess the assumption was that it was my intention to do hurtful or harmful things emotionally or whatever to these people. So the difference between the 2 sides, that's like was really awakening for me when me and my therapist was talking about this. He was like, pause. Here's the difference. It wasn't your intention to do that, because obviously, if you would have known that you were going to be successful and do things like that, if you knew where the trajectory of your career was going, and you already knew that you were trying to be in this industry. He was like, if you knew anything that was going to, like, you would have moved different. You can't know what's coming in the future. You can only operate with the knowledge you have and make the choices you make at the time you make them. He was like, the difference is when you might have been making poor choices, but the intention to harm somebody doesn't even make sense, because 1, that was your community, for 1. It's like, what, I'm gonna harm you and then we're gonna go get yogurt land tomorrow? Like, what do you talk? Like, my intention, and then, I'm gonna harm you and introduce you to another friend. So like, hopefully one day you all go sit around and talk about how I've harmed you all. And it's like, that doesn't even track. It's like, if I was that manipulative and thought out, then you best believe I would have thought out like, well, I'm not gonna let y'all meet none of y'all. I'm not gonna introduce y'all none of y'all, because my intention is to hurt all of y'all, and I don't want y'all to come together and talk about how I've hurt all y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that was my intention, like, having that intention doesn't even make sense for being a friend group. You know what I'm saying? But, and if you have a counter to that, great.
No, I don't. I'm agreeing with you. Just something that.
So with that said, the thing that woke me up and was very sad to hear is he was like, the difference is the person that they're portraying you to be is actually on their side, in the sense of, you are saying Titus intentionally harms people in whatever way that is. I know we're speaking subliminally here, whatever. Whether that be words, or you said something mean, or you did something offensive. Titus is intentionally harming people is what you're projecting. But you're the only person intentionally harming. Like, now you have a well of assumptions and knowledge, and now you're quite literally intending to harm.
Yeah.
So what you're saying was happening to you, you're quite literally the reflection of that, and you're intentionally harming him by coming after him, trying to cancel, do all these things. It's like, so when you're accusing somebody of something you're doing, it becomes hypocritical. So I'm
For
like,
sure.
I can't call you, I can't be like, hey, I'm gonna go beat up Gray because, I think he intentionally pushed me when he walked by.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're intentionally beating somebody up. You're now doing what you've accused him of doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not wrong. I think the difficulty that I think a lot of individuals that may feel the conviction or feel that they are not in the wrong is, I think their knee-jerk reaction is going to be like, well, I did feel this way, or I did think this way, and it was justified. Again, that's their truth.
Right.
And I think that's the difficulty that most people that operate like that is because their truth is their truth, right? They see it a certain way, and then they have another person that they can, in a way, convince them to think and dissect what they just said and say, hey, there it is. There it is. Like, see, that's what I'm talking about. And then it's like, it's almost like, hey, this is what it is. And you were blind to it, but here, let me bring light to it. But then at the end of the day, it was their truth. But then at the end of the day, like, time will tell.
Yeah.
And what does it say? That cream always rises to the top. And you've heard that saying? Let me think. The Kool-Aid always separates from the sugar.
If you don't stir it, that sugar gonna be at the bottom.
But the thing about it is, like, individuals that like this, I hope that they're, when they listen to it, that maybe they have a self-reflection moment of, one, I think you have to think about,
it's possible? Hey, I don't think it's reality.
There is a moment in people's lives. There's a moment in everyone's life. I think it's a moment, even if it's down to the moment right before they die, they reflect on, they always say their life flashes in front of their eyes.
Right.
I think that you shouldn't give it to that moment for you to make the change, because ultimately by then you'll have so much regret and so much doubt within the choices that you've made, but it's too late. I think it's early enough in your life. Life is too short, and you need to make the change that you want to see in other people.
Right.
Because ultimately, if you're the reason that all this is happening, then maybe there's a moment that you need to pick up a mirror and say, hey, you know what? What am I doing?
Exactly.
How am I enabling it?
And there's where the beauty is in the situation. It's like, okay, the angle at which all this is happening is very, 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 very hateful. But what I can do as a mature adult now, because I wasn't at the time, right? But what I can do as a mature adult and a Christian is pick up the mirror. And in therapy, I'm like, all right, hold on. So all these people saying this, what's true in there? And that's what he said. He's like, pick out what's true, leave behind what's not. Everybody's gonna add in their truths. He's like, you can leave those behind. People are gonna inflate stuff, because it's just like when you tell a story, you're gonna tell it like a little bit more intense.
Right.
So people can be like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Leave those behind. The truths are X, Y, and Z. How do you navigate people? How do you da-da-da? And the takeaways are what we were saying at the beginning. It's like smaller circle, smarter choices, not assuming that people even have the same humor as me, right? Not assuming that they're as comfortable as I am. Like, so many things I had to learn, and the situation did present. So it's like their objective to present me with a reflection of myself worked, which is beautiful. And that's awkwardly where that weird thing happens in me, where I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. Like, I'm like, honestly, at the end of the day, like, I'm like, that did benefit me, but it still doesn't support, or it doesn't, I can't think of the word, it doesn't mean that how you did it was the most helpful. Do you know what I'm saying? As far as like the ripple of how you did it was the most helpful. But yeah, it forces you into things. So it's kind of like you kind of thank your haters later. It's like, because you made me better. You made me get out there and push harder and look at myself in the mirror. So it's like,
me to do what I do.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have hate for people. Like, I could be hooked up to a lie detector right now, and you can ask me if I hate those people, and my answer would be no. Because there's too much God in me. Even if they don't see it, there's too much God flowing in me that I can feel, that I'm like, I can't find it in myself to hate you. I don't like how you move. You know what I mean? Like,
ask me another question, maybe.
I don't like how you move, but like, even those people that we're talking about, I'm like, I still wish the best for them. Like, I hope that they have great careers and families. Like, I would want you to have success, even if it's for the pure fact of you finding peace in your own life to where you don't need to attack somebody else. And it's just like, I just don't understand why people just can't make room for understanding that people are different, and let that person be on the journey they're on. And if you don't rock with it, step out of the way.
Yeah.
Now it's different if they pursuing you. Now, if you're getting chased and attacked by people,
the thing is, you got to reflect that, or you got to think that there is a moment where you outgrow people and people outgrow you, and it's something that I think people respond to that differently.
Right.
And some people resort to other options that are not healthy.
Right.
And I think you just have to be okay with being okay with letting those people go, but then also realizing that them letting you go was probably the best thing that ever happened.
One best thing that ever happened for all the growth reasons, not in a shady way of like, oh, I'm happy I'm done with them. Yep. But like, I mean, no, I'm gonna be honest, it's twofold. Like I am for the sake of my own spiritual.
That's your empathy.
My empathy.
Hold on, let me trigger my empathy.
Let me trigger my empathy. But for two reasons. Yeah, one, of course, like you were saying early on, you're like, clearly they weren't honest with you, because if all this was in there to do to you at any point, then that's not who you thought you were falling in love with in friendship anyway. So it's like, so that side of me is like, yeah, I'm very happy to not be associated, because I was like, oh, y'all was hiding some intention anyway. So I could have slipped up at any moment in my life and y'all was ready to be like, ding, you know what I mean? Like at any point, y'all was going to try to throw, if it wasn't this, it would have been something else. That's my like takeaway slogan, quote, statement. It's like, if it wasn't this, it'd be something. My dad always said it. He'd be like, Titus Jr., TJ, people going to always find a reason to hate you.
Can you say it in his voice just so I can feel like I'm you?
TJ. No, my dad don't sound like that. He literally, but seriously, he was like, God, Jesus didn't get off of this planet. I'm using things that you would understand. Jesus didn't get off of this planet with no hate, and he was perfect. How do you think you're going to skim by without people judging, hating, criticizing, having opinions? Like, Jesus didn't even do that. And he was perfect love. No sin. Didn't offend nobody. I mean, people were offended, but that was their own issue. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, he was operating out of the purest love, and people still found a way to. Now, I'm not comparing myself to like always have done perfect things. You know what I'm saying? Like, so on top of knowing I'm not perfect, I shouldn't even have the concept of, well, why don't they love me? Like, why are they dragging me? And why are they hating me? Like, that's what
that doesn't exhaust you anymore. I think it's something that I'm just glad to see that you've gone past it now, and it's something that I think in hindsight you can reflect back on just the growth that you've had, the person that you've become, the ambition that you have, the drive that you still have. I think it's something beautiful in that I think you can't neglect, because ultimately you didn't just curl up in a corner and just take the stones as if they were truth. I think
I did. I had about 2 years where I had to go heal my heart. But yeah.
But I mean, you could have done that for the rest of your life. You could have quit acting. You could have quit music. You could have quit everything that resembled that life that you had.
Hold on. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. That was a quote from earlier.
We brought it back.
That was the quote from earlier. The courage to continue, and that has been one of the most difficult things to find, is the courage to. Now I actively know that the naivety I had when I was younger, coming into the industry, when I was with that group, when I was in my early 20s and throughout my 20s, I definitely was naive to think like, oh, if I'm doing great and I'm being nice, everybody gonna be great and nice. That was never promised. My manager said this to me. She was like, when have you ever seen that people ain't have bad press and bad situations and hate speech online and people going in on the comments? Like, you ever seen one? You aspire to get to that level? You ever seen one of them get away without that? So she was like, one, she woke me up to that, and I was like, that's true. But on top of that, finding that courage, because now I know I'm walking in the fire. That's the difference. So before, I was blindly kind of like, yeah, we're doing fun things. Like, hopefully the success thing works. But now I'm fully aware that there's people that hate me. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, okay, so now I have to find the courage to continue on with that same zeal and energy to like make it through, with the awareness that like, y'all are waiting for me to slip. Y'all are waiting for me on my downfall. So finding that courage is hard, is what I'm saying, but that is what counts.
Yeah, I think it's something that, and I know that we've been talking about this for a bit now, but I think the courage, people mistake courage with aggression or response in a way that retaliates to whatever the action was.
Right.
I think sometimes the courage can be presented in a way that ultimately you're still doing it in a posture and position of love, but ultimately being courageous enough to where within yourself, the courage that you need to wake up every single morning to go out and face it is all you need. You don't need any other validation. No. You don't need anybody to say, hey, I'm great, I'm amazing. You know that to be true already. Right. And that courage, you got to wake up every single morning, regardless of what other people say about you.
Right.
And I think
and it's really not. And sorry, what did you say?
It may have taken you 2 years, but you finally found the courage.
And I'm still finding it. And I'm like, and the last thing I will say is, I'm like, it seems easy for people because they would take me continuing on a journey as like, oh, he ain't learned nothing. He just out there still trying to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
False. I was like, I felt every whip. Do you know what I mean? Every lash. And I'm still healing. My back is still wounded. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm just trying to continue on in the path that I feel God has set for me. And I'm like, if your objective is to whip me and for me to be living under a bridge, not pursuing goals and providing for my family ever, then it's like, that's a personal problem that you and the Lord got to work out. But I have to keep going. I'm like, there's nothing else to do. It's either what you said, curl up and cry for the rest of your life, or it's like at some point you got to be like, all right, I know you're out there. I know you're watching. I know you hate me, but I'm called to something greater than your opinions. So I'm going to keep moving. And I just don't want that to ever be misconstrued, because I know people see me being bubbly and doing stuff and being on TikTok and blah, blah, blah. That's taking a lot of courage. Yeah. And it's even today as I'm posting and stuff, I don't want people to think that haven't taken heed in life lessons. And I'm sure bigger celebrities feel that way. It's like, after you just came back from pretty much being canceled, then now you're like doing a movie and people are like, wait, he's doing movies? And it's like, what did you expect? Like, he got people grow, change, evolve.
People still got to wake up to go to work the next day after that.
Like, what do you want them to do? Like, go be homeless because you hate them? Do you know what I mean? Like, but anyway, and I shouldn't even actually, let me change that. I shouldn't even be concerned about people seeing or feeling like I know I've had growth. So I'm like, whether you feel that way or not, I've gotten to a place to where I'm like, it's gonna have to be what's gonna be. And that was the best wake up call I've ever had, is like learning to operate and still survive and live through the hate.
Yeah.
Because I never experienced that my whole life.
I've the hate is because they ain't us.
But now that I know it's there, I'm like, oh, so this is what Cardi B's talking about. She was like, oh, y'all hate me? Well, I guess you gotta sit back and watch the show. Like, you love watching. Here we go. You know what you say?
How you supposed to hate from outside of the club?
You can't even get in. And you can't, and sorry, this is actually the last thing. And then I also want to see, it's fascinating to me to know how many people could handle the flip, because it's easy to point the finger, but I'm like, if you was in a working position of clout, in your opinion, whether you're a famous TikToker or whether you're on a bunch of movies or whatever, how are you going to handle it when people start doing what you've been doing? Do you know what I'm saying? Because you're not going to be able to escape it. Like, if your objective is to get just as successful and more, you best believe somebody coming after you. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, because that's just the intention of the world. Like, anyway.
You're not wrong.
This is all like really good. Like, I didn't foresee this episode going this way, but I'm happy it did. I really am.
I think your quote started it, because then we got that's deep good. Pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I want to let people in. And this is step one into doing that. So thank you, Gray, for being here. Count on your besties to. I thought my sister was going to do this when she was on.
Yeah.
Or whenever, I don't know, whenever y'all see the episode, but my sister, I thought she was going to like dive in here, and I was like, what's she going to say? But it was you. Good job.
You know?
Love you, bro.
It's always the funny ones that come through.
It's always the what?
The funny ones. I'm funny, right? Yeah.
I was looking at his wife, by the way. I don't know if he's like, you're mid.
I'm mid.
You're mid.
Is that what the kids are saying?
It is. It is. You're mid. It's like, you're no Jim Carrey, but you're also not like,
alrighty then.
And you're also not like Tommy Lee Jones. Who's Tommy Lee Jones? Tommy Lee Jones. You know he's very serious all the time.
Yeah, no. I'm more of like a
Well, that's all we have for today's episode. So thank you for coming, Gray. This conversation's been amazing. Thank you for opening me up. As I was about to say that, I was like, nope. Love you, bro. Gotta go.